fight for everything that we deserve, but at the same time, like, we need to play basketball. That's what our fans crave, and that's what all of you crave as well, is you want the product on the floor. And at the end of the day, that's how you make the money, that's how you're marketable, that's, I think, what the fans get excited about, that's what the fans want to show up for. So, you know, it's business and it's a negotiation, and there has to be compromise on both sides. And, you know, we're starting to get down to the wire of it, and it's become really important. And, you know, obviously I want to help in any way I can, and I tried to educate myself the best I can. Obviously, I can't speak to everyone.
Are so excited because Caitlin Clark is finally back on the court playing basketball, and it seems like she is 100%. She is going 5v5. Team USA is currently holding their training camp, so all the ladies will be in Durham this weekend training. As you can see the roster here: Lauren Betts, Aaliyah Boston, Cam Brink, Paige Beckers, Veronica Burton, Sonia Citron, Caitlin Clark, Kalia Copper, Chelsea Gray, Brittany Griner, Dearica Hamby, Kiki Ariafen, Rakia Jackson, Brianna Jones, Kelsey Plum, Angel Reese, Juju Watkins.
That right there, that's not just another soundbite from training camp. That's Caitlin Clark doing something we rarely see from superstars in any sport. She's putting the entire league on notice. While everyone else is focused on contract numbers and charter flights, Clark just exposed the one thing that could destroy everything the WNBA has built this year. And many of you noticed something was off the moment those words came out of her mouth. December 2024. Team USA training camp in Durham. 16 of the biggest names in women's basketball gathered under one roof. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Beckers, Brianna Stewart. On the surface, it looked like preparation for the 2026 World Cup. But you were onto something when you noticed the tension underneath. This wasn't just about basketball drills and scrimmages. This was about survival, because here's what the mainstream coverage won't tell you. The WNBA has exactly 24 days to figure out if there's even going to be a 2025 season. January 9th. That's the deadline. If the Players Association and the league can't reach a collective bargaining agreement by then, everything stops. No games, no highlights, no viral moments. The growth engine that brought record ratings, sold-out arenas, and a $2.2 billion media deal? Gone. And Caitlin Clark just became the only person willing to say it out loud. If you believe the story behind the story matters, smash that like button right now. It tells us we're on the right track while everyone else is chasing drama. Let's filter out the noise and look at what's actually happening here. The 124 WNBA season wasn't just successful. It was transformative. Average attendance jumped from 6,500 to over 17,000 per game. The Indiana Fever alone became a cultural phenomenon. Ratings increased by 70%. Expansion fees hit $50 million per franchise. New media rights worth $2.2 billion over 11 years. This is the kind of natural momentum that professional sports leagues dream about. But here's where it gets interesting. All of that growth happened during a season where the CBA was already on borrowed time. The current agreement expires this year, and while players have every right to demand better compensation, charter flights for everyone, and a larger revenue share, there's a harsh reality that nobody wants to acknowledge. The WNBA doesn't have the infrastructure to survive a work stoppage the way the NBA does. Think about it. The NBA can handle a lockout because it has decades of established fan loyalty and billion-dollar TV contracts that aren't going anywhere. The WNBA? It's still building that foundation. This league is in its growth phase. You don't stop construction in the middle of building the house. And that's exactly what Caitlin Clark understands that others seem to be missing. Reading between the lines of her statement reveals something crucial. She's not dismissing player demands. She's not siding with ownership. She's doing something far more strategic. She's positioning herself as the voice of pragmatic leadership. Fight for what you deserve, absolutely. But recognize that playing basketball is how you make the money. That's how you market. That's what fans crave. Without games on the court, there's nothing to negotiate over, and connecting the dots reveals why this matters so much right now. Caitlin Clark spent her entire rookie season being the face of WNBA growth. She dealt with physical play that bordered on targeting. She handled media scrutiny that no other rookie has ever faced. She watched her games draw crowds that the league had never seen before, and through all of that, she proved something that the analytics couldn't measure. She proved that the WNBA has mainstream appeal when given the right platform. But here's what many of you have been saying for weeks. That platform disappears if there's no season. Casual fans who started watching because of Clark and Reese and the rookie class drama. They won't wait around during a labor dispute. They'll move on to the next thing. And when the WNBA eventually returns, it'll have to rebuild that audience from scratch. Except this time, without the natural curiosity that came with Clark's debut season, the numbers back this up in ways that should terrify everyone involved in these negotiations. Before Caitlin Clark entered the league, the WNBA was stable but not growing. Average attendance had plateaued. Media coverage was limited to dedicated basketball outlets. Mainstream sports networks treated it as an afterthought. Then Clark arrived, and everything changed, not gradually, immediately. The Indiana Fever went from one of the least watched teams to appointment viewing. Her games regularly drew over 1 million viewers on basic cable. Road arenas sold out when the Fever came to town. Merchandise sales exploded. And most importantly, new fans who had never watched women's basketball before
There's a thing that we can find ways to say, no, like, we certainly deserve that and we're not going to compromise on that, and then other things that we can probably compromise on. But like I said, like, this is the biggest in the history of the WNBA, and I don't want that to be forgotten. Similar, like, it's important that we find a way to, you know, play this next season, and I think our fans, and even everybody that has played in this league that has come before us.
Clark's answer. Thank you, Caitlin. This is the biggest moment the WNBA has ever seen, and it's not something that can be messed up. I feel like I have been screaming this at the top of my lungs through all of the messiness that has happened over the past 2 seasons in the WNBA. You have a moment right now in women's basketball, and specifically in the WNBA. You have a boom that we have never seen in the history of this league. Do whatever you can to not mess it up, and they've already done multiple things that is like shooting.
Suddenly cared about playoff seeding and MVP races. That's not something you can recreate with marketing campaigns or social media pushes. That's organic growth driven by genuine star power and compelling competition. And it's exactly what gets lost when you shut down operations for a labor dispute. The timing couldn't be worse. Or maybe it couldn't be better, depending on how you look at it. Because right now, the WNBA has leverage it's never had before. Corporate sponsors are paying attention. Media companies are investing serious money. Cities are bidding for expansion franchises. This is the moment when the league can secure long-term financial stability that benefits everyone: players, owners, fans, but only if there's actually a product to sell. And that brings us back to Durham. Back to that training camp where Caitlin Clark made her statement. Team USA doesn't cancel their preparation schedule because of CBA negotiations. They keep going. Players show up. They compete. They build chemistry for international competition. But underneath all of that, there's an unspoken question hanging over every drill, every scrimmage, every media availability. What happens if January 9th comes and goes without a deal? Kelsey Plum called the CBA negotiations depressing at that same training camp. She described a significant divide between the two sides with very little time to close the gap. And she's right. But here's what makes Caitlin Clark's approach so different. Drop a comment right now telling us what you think the WNBA should prioritize most in these negotiations. Player compensation, league growth, long-term stability. We want to hear from you because this affects the future of women's basketball. There it is, the reality that nobody wants to confront. This is the biggest moment the WNBA has ever seen, and it cannot be squandered. Not after everything that happened last season, not after finally breaking through into mainstream consciousness, not after proving that women's basketball can compete for attention in the crowded sports media landscape. But let's talk about what actually happened at this training camp that everyone's been dissecting. Because while the CBA drama dominated the headlines, something else was unfolding on that Durham court, something that perfectly illustrates what's at stake. Caitlin Clark hadn't played competitive basketball since September 25th, 2024. The Indiana Fever lost to the Connecticut Sun in the first round of the playoffs, and just like that, her rookie season was over. 2 months. That's how long fans went without seeing her on the court. 2 months of speculation about her conditioning, her added muscle mass, whether the physical toll of her first professional season had caught up with her. Then, the training camp footage dropped, and you saw it. The footwork was precise. The release was smooth. The three-point shot had that effortless rhythm that made her must-watch television all season long. No hesitation, no rust, just pure basketball ability on full display. Fans have been connecting these dots all week. She looks healthy. She looks comfortable. Most importantly, she looks ready. But here's the clip that really went viral. Paige Bueckers with the sidestep three, right in Caitlin Clark's face. The haters jumped on it immediately. See? Clark can't play defense. She got cooked. Except that's not what happened at all if you actually watch the play. Reese is trying to screen Clark. Jackie Young is rotating over to help. Bueckers is being denied the ball initially before creating her own shot. This is high-level basketball, not some training camp embarrassment on art, and the social media buzz completely missed the real story. This is exactly what WNBA fans want more of. Not manufactured rivalries, not toxic discourse about who's better, just elite players competing at the highest level. Clark and Bueckers pushing each other, Reese setting physical screens, multiple defenders collapsing on ball handlers. This is women's basketball playing at the peak of its powers on a global stage. But all of that disappears if there's no 2025 season. Team USA will still train, players will still work out. International competition will continue, but the WNBA itself, the league that created these opportunities, would suffer irreversible damage, because here's what multiple sources are whispering about behind the scenes. The current negotiations aren't just about money, they're about control. Players want guaranteed charter flights for all teams, not just playoff contenders. They want a higher percentage of revenue sharing. They want better maternity leave policies and off-season support. All legitimate demands that reflect the growing value these athletes bring to the league. But the league is pushing back, citing financial realities that aren't as simple as pointing to that $2.2 billion media deal and demanding immediate payouts. We're getting into rumor territory here, but sources suggest the real sticking point is timeline. Players want immediate improvement starting in 2025. The league wants to phase in changes as new revenue actually materializes. Neither side is wrong, but neither side can afford to be stubborn, not when the momentum they've built is this fragile. And that's where Caitlin Clark's statement takes on even more significance. She's essentially saying what the league needs to hear. Compromise now. Lock in what you can. Keep the product on the court, because every day without basketball is a day the fans find other things to watch. Every missed game is potential revenue that never comes back. Every postponed season is a generation of young players who might choose different sports to follow. The WNBA community is buzzing about whether Clark's comments will actually influence negotiations. Some see it as brave leadership from someone who has everything to lose. Others view it as naive optimism from a player who just signed a major Nike deal and doesn't feel the financial pressure that veterans face. But if these reports are accurate, her voice might carry more weight than anyone realizes, because sponsors aren't investing in the WNBA as an abstract concept. They're investing in specific players who move the needle. Caitlin Clark is at the top of that list. If she's publicly advocating for compromise to ensure the season happens, that sends a signal to corporate partners that their investments are safe, that the league's biggest star understands the business side and isn't going to let perfect be the enemy of good. Think about what's happened in the last 12 months. Clark went from college sensation to professional target to legitimate Rookie of the Year to Voice of Reason in labor negotiations. That's not a typical trajectory. Most rookies stay quiet, defer to veterans, avoid controversy. But Clark has consistently shown that she understands her platform extends beyond individual statistics. She knows her games draw the crowds. She knows her presence generates the revenue. And she knows that none of that matters if the league implodes before it can fully capitalize on this moment. That's not undermining player solidarity. That's recognizing reality. The NBA can survive a work stoppage because it has 40 years of established infrastructure. The WNBA has this year, maybe next year, to prove it can sustain mainstream attention. And here's what really makes this story compelling. If the season does get canceled, Caitlin Clark will be fine. She has endorsement deals. She has international options. She has leverage that 99% of WNBA players don't possess. Yet, she's the one calling for compromise. She's the one saying we need to play basketball. She's the one warning that this opportunity cannot be wasted. Before we wrap up, if you want to see the WNBA continue this incredible growth trajectory, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we're going to be tracking every development in these CBA negotiations over the next 3 weeks. And trust me, you don't want to miss what happens when January 9th finally arrives. We've got sources telling us there are backup plans being discussed that nobody's talking about publicly yet. That video drops this week. The WNBA stands at a crossroads. One path leads to sustained growth, expanded opportunities, and financial stability for everyone involved. The other path leads to a work stoppage that kills momentum and wastes the best chance women's basketball has ever had to compete for mainstream attention. Caitlin Clark just told us which path she thinks the league should take. Now we wait to see if anyone was actually listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.